Welcome to the Foster's World 8-Ball Pool Championships here at the Imperial Hotel in Blackpool. All of the world's best players here fighting it out for that title. We are now down to the quarter-final stages. Let's just remind you at home of what's happened so far. As you can hear, a great atmosphere here in the hotel. Gareth Potts, pretty comfortable winner in that first quarter-final over Aaron Roberts. Still to come, Phil Harrison against Adam Davis. That's the match we're featuring in a moment. Jason Twist against Carl Morris later on, and Lee Kendall against Gareth Hibbert will round it all off. Right, so with me here in the studio, I'm delighted to say, is Keith Brewer. Keith, it was very much one-way traffic, wasn't it, in that first quarter-final? I don't think it'll be quite like that now.
I wouldn't have thought so, because in Phil and Adam, we've got two of the most prolific players in the game at the moment, so I would have thought they'll be fighting all the way in this one.
So this could be a bit of a marathon. It'll be a tough one.
That's the way I see it. Of course, it doesn't always work out like that, but both players have shown good form in the tournament so far.
Let's take a check on the route to the stages that they've reached so far. Phil Harrison, confirmation there of his victories over Steve Sears and Clint Ianson of England. So he is in good form.
Yes, very good form, shown good match play throughout his matches in the tournament leading up to the televised stages.
And very experienced too, of course, Phil. He's been around for a while.
Yes, he's been at this stage many times.
And as for Adam, well, of course, he too is on good form. It's worth pointing out, I think, when we look at his record, that he's beat Mick Hill in the last 32, and what a match that must have been, 8-7.
Yeah, it was a fantastic match, Dave. There was a big crowd there watching, because I think they all realised it was two of the favourites, if you like, maybe to go on and lift the title. Mick was obviously disappointed, but Adam played exceedingly well.
It's a tough one, I know, but give us your prediction.
Well, this is a very tough one to call either way. I think whoever gets off to the best start, if you had to kind of just nod at one, maybe Phil's got a bit more experience than Adam, so you probably just tip him slightly. We shall see. We're about to get underway. Let's now cross to our MC, Scott Gallagher.
So it is time for our second quarter-final down here at the 2008 Foster's World 8-Ball Pool Championships. Lying in wait in the semis is defending champion Gareth Potts. So ladies and gents, give it up for your two players, Phil Harrison and Adam Davis!
Coming to you from one of the elegant ballrooms here in the historic Imperial Hotel in Blackpool. Quarterfinal action continues. Our second quarterfinal, the ever-steady Phil Harrison up against the unknown package Adam Davis. Well, unknown to many, but not to the man sat beside me. Sean Baker, you can tell us a little bit about that gentleman, can't you?
Yes. Adam Davis has actually been representing England for many years now. So he's been to these championships.
Yes, the all-important lag to initiate the breaking sequence here. It's a race to 9, best of 17. And it looked like Adam convincingly will be opening his account here in this second quarter final. Very good young player, this man. Stranger to our television screens, but not to the players in this competition.
That's correct, Jim. He has actually appeared on television a couple of times, notably 2006, he won the International Masters. I think he's just having a little joke with the referee there. He's not actually giving him the cue ball to break off with, Jim.
Obviously very comfortable with surroundings. And so important to get off the mark against Phil Harrison. Harrison, a steady campaigner, as we've already noted. Spinning that white to the center of the table, but I didn't hear anything drop.
No, nothing down there. But, as I say, Adam, he did keep nice control on the cue ball there. It stayed in the middle of the table. Jumped a little bit, but stayed in the middle of the table. It's what you're trying to do, park it in the middle. So if you make a ball, then it gives you obviously all the options then.
Provisionally number 2 in the tour rankings. Big things expected of him. He wants the present to be the starting blocks, whereas Phil Harrison, well, he's looking to eke his way through to his 4th semifinal appearance. A heartbreaking loss at this stage last year in this hotel. 9-8, he lost to Rob McKay in the quarterfinals. No better way to erase that memory than a win here.
Yeah, without doubt, over the years, one of the steadiest players who's attended these championships. He's represented England at many times. both at individual and team level. Currently not in the England setup, but it's, as I say, he's steady and he keeps coming back every year due to his ranking position, Jim.
30 seconds.
When
Keeps
World
picking points up.
Championships, when they roll around here in Blackpool, Phil Harrison always rises to the occasion.
Probably not the best shot in the world there from Phil. Looks like he's probably still got a ball up the table, but certainly what he wasn't planning on.
He can count himself lucky if he can get through. But certainly everything in the open now.
Yeah, certainly a great opportunity here for Phil, if you like, to break serve early in this match by taking a frame on Adam's break. I say the break, such an important weapon in a game of 8-ball pool, particularly once you get onto the bigger table. He's employed in the quarter-final stages onwards, these Foster's World 8-ball Championships.
Very measured, does nothing in haste, plenty of experience.
I think you'll see as well from Phil, there's a lot of facial expression.
30 seconds.
I always say that Phil always looks, he's playing well when he looks angry. He has this Mr. Angry look that he develops, and that's when he's playing well.
It didn't look all that angry there. Looked confused.
But that's the secret behind Phil. That when he starts showing all that emotion, you know, what he's probably done is finished about half an inch away from where he actually wanted to be with the cue ball. You know, he's in perfect position here, really. I think that this red slides past the one to the bottom left, which I'm sure it does.
Just tickles that red enough to stay on the surface, and I think Phil knew it. He walked over to his chair immediately. One more look at it, just feathering this red enough to stay on the table. As I said, Phil quickly back to his chair.
He's still in a fairly good position here, because certainly Adam's got one problem ball on the left-hand side. Top of your screen as you look there, just to the left of the top middle pocket.
Could he try and move it here?
He's got a couple of balls into this bottom right-hand corner pocket where he's going to have an angle, potentially an angle to get round. You see, he's tried it, but he's missed the pot. He's just taken his eye off the pot. Now, has he had a little bit of luck? Has he covered the balls in the bottom left?
Very close, but another look at it. He did elect to try and go after that yellow.
You see lots of spin on that spotted cue ball there. It's a fantastic shot from Phil Harrison, taking it off the rail, come round. Now he's in a almost perfect position to open his account.
In our first quarterfinal, Gareth Potts, a convincing 9-1 winner over Aaron Roberts. Experience coming to the fore there, and one just wonders if experience might not pay dividends here too.
Well, I know I was having a little chat with our studio guest before this match, Keith Brewer. He asked me who I thought would win this match, and I said I felt the experience of Harrison would just shade it. I think it could go pretty much all the distance. I would be very surprised if it was a runaway winner, as we had in our first quarter-final. I think this could go very close, but I think Phil's experience might just see him through here.
30 seconds.
He's going to have to pull a rabbit from the hat here. He's bumped that 8 a little firmer than he would have liked. And I can't see any pockets calling out for this 8-ball.
Now, somehow, he's going to have to find a containing shot. I don't know, is he looking at...
Off the yellow and into the side pocket's the only option, and he's having a look at that. It just doesn't look on to me.
No, because the black, we see the overhead there, it looks like it's just behind the yellow a little bit. And what's hampering it further is the yellow that's just above the black that we see on the overhead. As I say, can't really see a way that he's going to pot this.
Never looked on. And now, a gilt-edged opportunity brings young Adam Davis back to the table. It's a best of 17, first one to 9. We'll book an appointment with Gareth Potts.
Yeah, we looked at this quarter-final draw before, Jim, and you'll see there's actually 4 players from the Stoke-on-Trent area in these quarter-finals. Well, I'm very surprised there. He's played at a safety.
Not really showing a lot of confidence because he had a couple yellows that he elected to attack, but obviously trying to extract the mistake from Phil.
Total snooker.
He's looking at the 2 cushion possibility. Well, he's extracted the mistake, and if that white goes in, and it has.
Yeah, he's got cue ball in hand.
Ball in hand, that certainly helps his cause. 2 visits now to Adam Davis, and that should seal Phil Harrison's fate in this first frame.
Yeah, he was a fair way away from that, really. The players are this standard, but it's early in the game, so still trying to get the pace of the table. Cushions react just slightly different again on the TV. That decision from Adam Davis to elect to play safe rather than go for game has obviously paid dividends now.
Hindsight is always 20/20. A little short of ideal position, but again, the insurance policy of that second visit. So no real pressure here. That's just what a young player making his debut in the quarterfinals of an event like this would want.
Say Adam is no great stranger to the world arena. As I say, he did part of the winning side of the England team last year in the team event at the championships. As I say, he's used to being out there, but in that case he had his teammates behind him all cheering him on every shot. Now he's just out there himself and Phil Harrison in a battle to see who will meet Gareth Potts in that semi-final.
Nice angle on this yellow. Just roll it in. And he'll stay nice and close to this 8. Top corner. And he'll never have needed that second visit. 8 deposited. And it's young Adam Davis who takes the opening frame here, leading Phil Harrison 1-0.
Second frame, Phil Harrison to break, trailing by 1 frame to 0.
Number 2, Phil Harrison, having dropped the opener, the number 6 seed, will be looking to make amends here with the break.
Open table.
Nothing's gone down, so Adam now comes to the table, hopefully with a chance. He'll be looking to extend that lead, put pressure on Phil early.
That really is the key. That top level pool, when you get a chance to tighten the screws, you really have to be able to put your opponent under the heat.
Yeah, if you...
Yellow balls in play.
well, that wasn't a particularly good shot there from Adam.
No, I don't think he intended flicking those 2 reds near the bottom right. He may even have opened them up.
You talked about the young man from Stoke-on-Trent. You say the depth of talent now in the game. And look at the last 16. There was actually 4 under-21 players in that draw. Clint Jansen, who Phil Harrison beat 8-4. There was also Richard Toomey from England and John Bushnell from Wales. And say the depth of talent is just incredible, really, and it's putting a lot of pressure now on the more experienced players, if you like.
The future of 8-ball pool in very good hands. But that was a wayward shot. And I have a feeling that Adam wanted to play that in the manner to cover that top pocket. So he really hasn't accomplished anything except giving the table right over to Phil.
30 seconds.
And what's worse is he may have developed those 2 reds that Phil is queuing over.
He sent the cue ball a long way around there, so whether he wants to just... He thinks, well, I'm just going to get rid of these 2, certainly the 1 red at the top right of the table there, and 1 in the middle, and that was, as you say, I think the outside one of the 2 reds down the side rail now pots cleanly, so looking just to maybe dolly this red into the middle, leave himself on that one. He's got a slightly awkward position at the bottom end of the table as well.
Seems to play with just a little bit more conviction than does Adam.
It's a nice shot there because he's developed. Just wonder now, if has he left himself an angle just to flick 1 red in and just develop those 2 reds that are on the bottom rail, left-hand rail as we look on the overhead shot there. And he'd have to be desperately unlucky really not to leave himself still on one of those 3 remaining reds after he's potted this one.
Well, I think after getting this red, he really wants to drop on the middle of those 3.
30 seconds.
That would be ideal. And if he elects to play topspin into this and try and carry him into that one nearest us, very risky.
Not sure he's made it. I think he's going to have to play a plant here, which with the distance of the balls apart and how close the red is to the rail, it's an extremely difficult shot.
Well, the angle in knocking the red nearest this corner pocket in takes the white away from the 2 reds, so he's got to elect what you're suggested.
30 seconds.
Well, how about that? A little imagination, creativity, and it should lay the foundation for victory here in frame number 2. Nifty little shot from Phil Harrison.
Yeah, I think that what that shot showed from Phil is that how the game's become more attacking, Jim, since the mid-90s when there were the change of rules.
Yeah, it also showed why he's out there playing and we're in the commentary box, Sean.
Quite right, certainly from my point of view.
Time running.
He's not wasting any time either, and Phil is one of those players. In the past, we've seen him, he's been very methodical and he doesn't mind bogging it down a bit, but when he gets on with it, he can play, as is evident here.
Yeah, I think...
A tidy clearance from the number 6 seed, leveling it up here in Blackpool, 1 apiece in the race to 9. Phil Harrison now a lot more content. Frame number 3. Adam Davis looking to deposit a ball into any of those 6 pockets on offer. The break, 1-1 the score. Nicely controlled that white, but no friends at the table.
Open table.
No, it was a nice break off. Took a little bit of power off it and stopped the cue ball in the middle of the table, and as you say, nothing potted. He's a little bit unlucky, but he's obviously decided after his first break shot he hadn't got the control that he wanted.
Phil disposed of another young gun in the last 16. You've already noted Clint Jansen, another under 21 English superstar in the making. He's looking to take out another one here.
Yeah, had Adam not actually progressed through to the full England side 2 years ago, he would have been in England under 21. you know, I'm sure at this championships, as you say, a teammate of Clint Hansen, and a very bad miss there from Phil
Red
Harrison.
ball's in play.
Very bad miss.
Yeah, that grin was more of a grimace. Inexcusable at this level.
Just can't understand how he's missed that, really, because it wasn't a particularly difficult shot. I don't think he was, certainly wasn't trying to do anything great with the cue ball. He just want to do exactly what he's done. If he'd potted the ball and parked the cue ball where it is now, it'd have been perfect for a finish.
And Sean, as a player, when you make an unforced error like that, you fully expect to be punished. Part of you wants to be punished.
He's had a little bit of luck, though, because he's partly covered that bottom left-hand corner pocket, and he's got the right-hand corner pocket. We see there on the overhead, bottom left, top left. And there's a couple of awkward balls on the left-hand side of the table as we look.
Those of you with black and white television. Still a lot of work to do here. And this young man, a massive win. His biggest scalp, certainly, of this event, an 8-7 win over Mick Hill, former world champion. And that'll mean nothing if he can't carry it through against Phil Harrison here.
No, I actually was the referee for that game. It was a fantastic match. It ebbed and flowed, and Adam had a great chance to go 5-2 up, if I remember, and missed it, and Mick has pulled out a great finish, and he's jumped about 4 foot in the air when he's potted the black to come back 4-3, and it could have been a big turning point, where if he hadn't have taken the frame, I'm sure Adam would have run out fairly comfortable, because he was having a little bit of run, he was playing well. Mick wasn't doing an awful lot wrong. But, Adam took the decider and made his way through to these quarterfinals.
Well, that was a nice shot there, but kind of a good news, bad news scenario. He's knocked the red in, freed the pocket for the red he's looking at now, but he's bumped a red near that yellow on the right-hand side of the table. Now, is the angle on offer here for him to be able to knock this red in and screw that white back and try and develop that red? That might be his only option if he wants to try and win at this visit.
The other option, if he has got a little bit of angle, is to maybe try and run through and take the red into the middle and come behind that red that's near the yellow. Now, he's done what you suggested there, Jim, but he's had to trust to a little bit of luck. He's left himself a long pot to the top right-hand corner pocket. You see on the overhead shot there.
He's not out of the woods yet, though, Sean. There's still a lot of work to be done here. And if this red, the one nearest the middle of the table, passes into the top right corner as we look from our overhead perspective, that'll certainly be a lot easier. But where does he play that 8-ball?
Say, to be honest, Jim, the only pocket he's really got to go for is the top middle pocket, as we see there. He's going to have to come round the angles, avoid that yellow, certainly that's to the left and below the black.
Well, this will be some positional effort, this one. He's going to have to play this red into the center pocket. All about the speed of that cue ball. That will do nicely. A little bit of good fortune. And who would begrudge Adam Davis? Some terrific shot making. And the easiest 8 affords him a 2-1 advantage over Phil Harrison. So punishment came for Harrison in the worst form. 2-1, Adam Davis.
You see the break shot there. Came up dry for Adam. Phil, this was the miss from Phil Harrison. Yeah, he knows. How can he have missed that? It's a great shot from Adam Davis. Freed up that corner pocket. We see coming up here this little bit of good fortune. He's running to the black, nudged the yellow, just enough out of the way to pot the black.
what would it mean to a young player like Adam Davis to win this world title?
Fourth frame.
Phil Harrison
to break. Trailing by 2 frames
just
to 1.
eyeing up the triangle. Frame number 4. 2-1 the lead to Adam Davis. And Phil Harrison breaks red down. That's the first order of business, Sean. And now what he's got to do is he's got to get all those negative thoughts that must be swirling in his head. He's got to get them out of the way.
Yeah, he's certainly a lot more powerful break from Phil there. Had a little bit of luck, cue ball nearly wetting off. But, as you say, he's made a red, so he does have the choice now of either taking the reds or he could nominate yellows if he wanted to. And as long as, providing he potted a yellow, he'd be on that colour.
30 seconds.
And to be fair, the only
Yellow
bad yellow is the
ball's
one
not
just on the left-hand side, below the red. And I'm sure he's got a couple of balls there that he'll be able to just nudge the red or nudge the yellow out, and certainly that's the way he should be going here.
It was an unforced error that cost him the last
Yellow
frame
ball's in play.
when it looked like he was in control. And the best way to try and forget a scenario like that is to put it well behind you.
And I think he's left himself an angle here, Jim, to take the one above the red on the left-hand side of the table into the middle pocket and maybe get in behind that red and yellow, disturb them. Almost certainly either going to leave himself on the one into the opposite middle or one of the ones into the right-hand corner pocket. Well, he's not elected to do that. I'm surprised. I thought he'd left himself that angle. Perhaps he feels now is more the time to do that.
And get the cue ball a little further from that side cushion. He's certainly got the angle now. Natural path of that white will be going into the red. And he could well bump that yellow down towards the corner pocket.
Yeah, it's not always just the thing that players will advocate, running into other balls and try and develop balls that way. Sometimes you don't have a choice, but where you can avoid it, it's always best to. And we've seen matches before where players keep running into balls and keep running out of position, and eventually it costs them. And it not only costs them frames, it costs them the whole match.
I always remember one of the
30
better
seconds.
players in Canadian cue sport history talking about the secret of success in being a top flight cueman is just finding that level of composure and concentration and being able to mix them. And when you see players at this level, you see the look on their face. They really get in the zone. And once again, Phil just never looked settled on that ball. Never looked comfortable, not from the moment he got down.
Well, it was the way he was cueing. He was bridging over that ball, and I think he couldn't get comfortable. We saw him get up once, and he got down again.
And Sean, that's where composure comes to the fore again. You have to have enough experience in being able to gather your focus, gather your nerves, and understand if you're not ready to pull the trigger, don't. Reset. How often do we see top golfers, when they're distracted, get back up? Yikes. It's catching.
It's certainly nervy out there now. So I predicted this game, it's still early days, will go maybe all the way. This best of 17 quarter-final race to 9. Certainly not seeing too many fireworks yet from either of these players.
30 seconds.
In our first quarterfinal, we saw Aaron Roberts let Gareth Potts off the hook on numerous occasions in the early going. And if Adam Davis does the same thing here with Phil Harrison, eventually Phil's going to start growing in confidence and feel like he's invulnerable as well. It's going to take a very good positional effort from this yellow to the last one up the opposite end of the table, though. Oh, beautiful catch of the red. Great effort from Harrison there.
Yeah, it was an excellent shot. He appeared after he played the previous shot. He thought he was slightly out of position. As you say, he played an excellent shot. Just a little bit of run by just flicking the red.
Well, he did not intend cannoning into that red, and so very nearly brought that cue ball into the center pocket. Now 8 to tie it up. In center of the pocket, Phil Harrison and Adam Davis, the first 4 frames in the books, nothing between them.
Frame 6, Phil Harrison to break, leading by 3 frames to 2.
Frame number 6, 3-2 the lead, enjoyed by Phil Harrison. Breaking, trying to park Adam Davis in his chair. Unsuccessful.
Open table.
Yeah, it was certainly a nice split there from Phil, but he's just not getting a ball. Quick survey of the table there. Probably suggests Adam will be trying to look at going reds here. Think of the set. There's certainly one awkward yellow, and maybe no great easy opening pot on yellows either, Jim.
No, and you know, the Reds, looking at them
30
right now,
seconds.
everything's available. This is all about cue ball control and table maintenance.
I think he's actually looking at the plant here to this corner pocket. It was on. He's taken it,
Red
and that's
ball's in
opened the
play.
frame up now completely for Adam Davis. Say these balls are at his. And this is, as you say, Phil would have been looking at parking her in his seat. This is exactly what Adam needed to come straight back out, fire back at Phil on his own break, and level the match up.
He looked a lot more settled. I think the experience from representing England
30 seconds.
in the televised stages has put him in good stead. He looked a lot more settled coming into this quarterfinal. His television appearance certainly than in our opening quarterfinal. Aaron Roberts. And you fancy him to clear up here.
But that's certainly what he wasn't looking for there. He wanted that cue ball another 3 or 4 inches at least across the table. He's now hampered slightly. He's going to be bridging over. He's just tucking the waistcoat in there, making sure it doesn't touch that yellow. So he's going to lose the cue ball a little bit here. He's a lot thinner than he was trying to.
And that was a very jerky action too.
Yellow ball's
Nothing
in play.
smooth about that. Well, just when I thought he might show us a little of the form that saw him take out Mick Hill and carve a path through to this quarterfinal, the air appears, and now Adam Davis may be spending some time in his chair.
Yeah, I mean, he's not only disposed of Mick Hill, and as you say, that last
30
32,
seconds.
he's seen off Lee Clough, semi-finalist from last year, by 8 frames to 4. He said he was 3-1 down, not playing well. He said, and something just clicked in. He said, and before he knew it, he was 6-3 up, and Lee Clough's barely had a shot. So he'll be hoping that can happen in this match as well.
I like Phil's plan of attack here. The only difficult yellow is the one on the left-hand side above the red nearest the bottom left. And he may be able to drop onto that yellow right here. And that will certainly lay the gauntlet down. No, he tried to move it. He tried to nudge it into the open. He missed it. That's still the difficult one. He can still drop onto it off the yellow near the bottom right corner. This is, again, personal preference for Phil, but I like the way he's thinking. Very positive.
It's the one thing about Phil Harrison's game. It is very positive. It's very rare you see him play a safety game, if you like. I mean, if there's a chance there, he'll go for it.
Now he's on this yellow to the same pocket that he just knocked the other one in.
Slightly hampered, Jim, because he's tucked up against that side rail. So he's just having to look now, where does he want to leave the cue ball? And I think he's looking probably at the right-hand one of the two yellows that's up towards the top end of the table here. Just running through.
You gotta tip your hat to him. He's stuck to his guns in this frame. And he's given the chance. And what kind of a message does this send to Adam Davis? One mistake. No mistakes in the last frame. Phil secured it. One mistake here from Adam Davis. And Phil looks like securing this one as well.
It's a little bit reminiscent, Jim, of a couple of years ago. He played in the final of the European Professional Championships against Mick Hill, Bradford I think it was, and he set off in the final like a train, and Mick had to slow him down to get back in the match.
Well, he's secured the last 3 frames in a row, and with it, now 4-2 in front of Adam Davis. Frame number 7, Adam Davis, 2 adrift, 4-2 to Harrison. And a much-needed ball down on the break.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't think he's made a ball again. That yellow's just drifted across the table into the middle pocket. See his eyes there, fixed on the table, trying to plot a way around, decide which set of balls he wants to take.
Nominated.
He's got the long red over the corner pocket.
30 seconds.
And it covers that pocket for the yellow. I think that weighed into his decision to opt for the reds here.
Yeah, I don't think he had a particularly easy pot on a yellow there either, Jim. So as you say, he nominated reds and he's taken, because he's potted one, he's now on reds, and so he's got a great chance here to reduce that deficit.
And he's got one difficult one on the left-hand side. Bottom half of the table as we look. Everything else very attainable.
30 seconds.
And if you're a Adam Davis supporter, you need a good innings right now.
Yeah, I know Adam has got quite a few supporters in the crowd. Some of the lads have travelled up from Stoke-on-Trent. His girlfriend Gemma, she'll be there rooting for him as well. Just there at the end of that shot now. Dark-haired girl right at the end of the shot.
Taking a lot of time here. I think he understands the significance. And I don't think he's come out far enough. Intended the red to the other corner pocket. He may still be able to get through to the one nearest the cushion, but very close. And what a mistake. If he can't get through to either one of those, what a mistake.
Yeah, poor shot. You say he took all his time there. You know, we heard the 30-second call.
Do you think he might have just been a little uncertain with how to try and attack these reds?
30 seconds.
Yeah, whether he's wondering how he could get at that red, as you say, the one awkward red he's got. Like you say, he's still got the insurance of that red over the bottom right, Jim, so he's just elected to bump that ball out into an open area and maybe just buy himself a little.
Phil, tactically very sound, though. I remember in years past, he can play any type of game.
Seconds.
He's already shown us how creative and what a steady attacking player he can be. If you want to try and slow it down, he can play that game too.
Perhaps looking to take control of that pocket. I don't think he's quite made it.
Would like to have that yellow rolled on just another couple inches. Chance here for Adam to clear that difficult red. And now that really puts Phil Harrison under a lot of pressure.
So he was a little bit unlucky there. He didn't actually pot that. So unfortunately Phil left in that red on. So you could see Adam's a little shake of the head, which I'm surprised at, because I mean, whether it's just the fact he thought he could pot that red, I don't know, but he's certainly still in pole position for this frame.
Thirty seconds.
Just wants to be certain. In his mind, he's looking for an angle to try and develop that difficult yellow.
I'll tell you what, he's going to have to make his mind up quickly, because we've had the 30-second call from our timekeeper, James Mills from Australia. He has got downplayed very quickly there, because time must have been getting on. As we know, in this game, we only get 60 seconds to play a shot. You get a warning with 30 seconds remaining. And if you don't play, it's a foul, 2 visits. And important that a lot of players forget, you can actually have cue ball in hand following a time foul. And a lot of players don't know that, don't realise that. So I say, he's got down very quickly and played, but he's okay.
Now, do you recall any time fouls in the business end of this event in past years? I'm testing you here, Sean, because I do.
Go on then, Jim, you'll have to remind me.
Daz Ward.
Yes. Yes, I think actually that was before my time.
Oh, you're not a young man, Sean.
No, I actually started appearing at these, or coming to these championships in 1996.
Time out.
And I think Daz Ward, as you say, deliberately let the clock run down, thinking he was going to give a foul away, a tactical foul, and forgot that the player could have cue ball in hand.
Exactly right.
And I have actually seen it in the qualifying rounds of these tournaments. Again, in the early years when players weren't totally au fait with the rules.
Good shot, just staving off the foul, Adam Davis. But certainly, right now, he's in control of the table as it sits. But as we've seen, that can change very quickly. Still, that one difficult yellow remains for Phil Harrison, and that is the cause for concern.
I'm just wondering now, is it getting to the point where Phil thinks, well, I'm going to have to attack and try and get in behind that yellow so he could take it into the top left-hand corner pocket as we look on the overhead? Because unless he can find a safety here, all of Adam's reds are in the open.
See him trying to lean and will that cue ball on.
Yeah, a little bit of the old body into that one. Great player for that, Craig Reynolds, one of the Welsh players. He always uses the old body swerve and tries to get everything behind it, even when he's not in control.
Now, just looking at the yellows, obviously
30 seconds.
a choice for Phil here, but either way, he has to leave himself an angle. If he, well, and he has to remain at the table.
And that's yet another mistake from Harrison, because he wasn't trying to do anything special with that at all. And once again, he's missed a fairly straightforward pot.
Adam had him under pressure. We knew that. And simply by laying the other red over that corner
30
pocket.
seconds.
The vice grip was tightened on Phil Harrison, and he succumbed.
You just wonder about this frame. We talked about the pace that Phil was playing at in these early frames. Adam slowed things down. Quite a lot of 30-second calls when he was at the table earlier on. I just wonder if that's just knocked Phil out of his rhythm a little bit.
Well, in fairness, Sean, I think that Phil slowed himself down. Started taking a little bit more time as well. When he was getting on with it, just seemed like he was controlling the white a lot better. Looked a lot more effortless at the table. And as soon as he started to slow down, so did his game. Just got to be a little careful here. Oh, that was dangerous.
Yeah, he was trying to maybe run into the yellow a little bit thicker than that. And he just flicked it and nearly just parked the cue ball in the other corner pocket. He's had a little bit of luck. That's what he needs if he's going to get back in this game.
And that is short of intended pace. And this 8-ball now missable. And the cue ball is going to be tracking towards that side pocket in that yellow.
Yes.
Great effort from Adam Davis. He had to have it, and he got it. Great 8 there, and back to 4-3 in favor of Phil Harrison.
Welcome back to Blackpool and our second quarter final. And it's a really tense match so far, Keith, but I have to say that it's close, but actually it could have been much more one-sided, that Phil has missed loads of opportunities.
Yeah, Phil's had the bulk of the play and more opportunities than Adam has. He's struggled a little bit with his break, though, Adam. He's come up dry quite a few times,
yes.
And Phil really hasn't made the most of it.
Do you think either player is comfortable at the moment? They both look as if they're not quite firing on all cylinders.
I think that's probably a fair comment, but I think there's a lot of respect out there from both players as well, and I think they just realise that if one of them can get a couple of frames clear, that could be the killer blow.
Still a long way to go then. Let's now return to the action and see what happens.
Tension reigns supreme here at the Imperial Hotel.
Davis to break.
Finally
4 frames
poised. 4-4 between the number 6 seed and the number 21 seed. Doesn't get any better than this. Gut check time now for young Adam Davis as he settles in frame 9 of a possible 17. Got a ball
Red
down,
ball
but you know it's going to be yellows.
See once again the break shot from Adam.
Yellow ball's nominated.
Great shot. You say he's potted the red, but he's elected the yellows, as you predicted, Jim. When he pots the yellow now, he's on them. And it's 4 each, as you say, here in Blackpool. Jim, did talk earlier on in the match that this could be tight. What odds would you give me now on a nail-biting final frame decider?
I think it's favored, Sean. I think there's very little to choose. Both these players have shown glimpses of brilliance. I think they've both had their hiccups. And I think it's the type of match where they're just going to go hand in hand to the finish line. And we're going to be here to enjoy every minute of it.
The rest, please.
Time out.
Looks like he's asked for a timeout. He wants the rest, I think, here.
Time running.
Great to have new event sponsors, Foster's on board for what we hope is the first of many years to come. A very bright future for the world of 8-ball pool. And with all these talented young players up and coming, so many of them, you know the sport is in great hands.
Yeah, certainly from the area of Stoke-on-Trent. It's a hotbed of 8-ball pool. We've got Gareth Potts, current defending champion, all the way through to the semi-finals. Coming later in the programmes, we've got Lee Kendall, Carl Morris, who now resides in the Stoke-on-Trent area. A couple of other players, James Croxton and Liam White. Liam White's an England under-21. James Croxton knocking on the door in the amateur tour, and knocking on the door potentially of an England team place next year. It's certainly the place to grow up in the game of 8-ball pool in England.
And if there is one difficult yellow, as Adam surveys the situation here, it's the one directly above the 8-ball. He'll want to try and drop on that nicely. And that'll be the last one he'd like to play in an ideal scenario anyway. But you can see it is available to that center pocket. And he'll be leaving it to last.
We notice the pace of this match just seems to have slowed down again a little bit more, and I just wonder if that's a tactic from Adam, just to try and keep Phil in his chair a little bit longer.
Well, certainly Phil enjoyed a 4-2 lead at one stage, only to be pegged back by Adam Davis. And when Phil had got his tail up, it was also noticeable that the speed of his play had gone up as well. Yes. Adam Davis to his guns, waited for his chance. And with this 8-ball, he will have secured the last 3 frames in a row. And down it goes. Repays the favor. Harrison took 3 in a row. Now Davis's turn. 5-4. (6-4) to Adam Davis. Frame number 11. A good break here will solidify his chances to play himself into the comfort zone. The race to 9.
He's made a ball.
Yellow ball.
Looking at that, I suspect he's probably going to take reds here.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
I was
because
just waiting for you to say it.
He's got a pot on a yellow. Well, certainly not an easy one.
Take the reds to the bank here.
I believe we heard it. He has nominated reds. Our referee John Hope indicated that with the call.
Just got to control Whitey.
30 seconds.
Red balls in the play.
And that's been the secret of this game, controlling this spotted white. Just marginally different in weight to the usual cue ball that these players are used to playing with. So used for these championships. But, I think most players have got the measure now of playing with this ball. Some practice with it beforehand, and it's certainly not affecting them as much as it was when it was first used.
Had a quick chat with Adam just at the interval when it was deadlocked at 4 frames apiece, and he said he didn't feel like he was playing well at all. Hadn't really settled in yet. Well, all I could respond was, if you don't feel like you're playing well and the scoreline's 4-4, what have you got to lose?
Well, nothing to that point. He's stretched that lead further. Just 6-4 now, and he certainly just looks like. We talked about the game maybe going all the way. He just looks like he maybe just snapped that elastic that Phil maybe's had him on, where kept tugging him back. You know, it's been nip and tuck, but.
It also appears to me that of the two, Phil has been more likely to dwell on the negatives. I think Adam has got on with it. He's made as many mistakes in the early going, but his expressions and his body language have not shown all that negativity, not like Phil Harrison.
You see Phil looking on, obviously concerned. He knows that he looks like he's staring down a 3-frame deficit here. These next few shots from Adam Davis will secure this 11th frame. Best of 17, race to 9.
And this 8 does pass to the bottom right corner. So he'll just slow roll this red in. And this is smooth sailing. And has he ever turned the tables on Phil Harrison? 4-2 he trailed at one stage. Sat upright in his chair, waited for the chance.
Just left this slightly awkward. Could have left it a lot straighter there.
Took the words out of my mouth. Sean, I'll tell you what, he's made this missable. Just not today. Adam Davis, 5 frames on the spin. And 7-4 in front now, and he has the controls of this one firmly in his hands. Frame number 12, and Phil Harrison desperately needing a good break and a good run. 7-4, he trails Adam Davis. The number 6 seeded Harrison. A little bit of aggression in that break.
Yellow ball potting.
He's got the first bit right. You see the break-off shot again here. Yellow ball. So that top right-hand corner pocket. And really, just looking at that split quickly, I think either suit here, Jim, either colour would suit Phil.
Yes, the yellow nearest the bottom left corner looks to be the most awkward of the yellow, so
30 seconds.
just really depends on the easiest starting ball, doesn't it? And that certainly would be yellows. If this red passes into that corner, the one he's looking at now, I'd fancy him to take reds. But it didn't look from our overhead perspective like it did. But
look at the clock there, it's moving on. Well, I didn't hear him nominate, but obviously he has nominated reds there beforehand. I didn't hear the nomination, but referee hasn't called a foul, so he must have nominated the reds, and that's what he's now on.
And what a risky first effort that was.
Yeah. In terms of everything, because we saw the shot clock that he was up to 52 seconds well before he struck that, so he must have been probably getting up towards 55, 56 seconds on that shot.
And apparently that one awkward yellow that I alluded to